All right. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Katie. We're back.
We're back.
How to do impossible things. How to do impossible things. What does all of this really mean? Where to go when the prop woken up from the dream?
Yeah, I feel like it's been a few weeks maybe since we've chatted.
hmm
And definitely have a lot of we've had a lot of progress on our house. How about you?
Yeah, spring is springing around here. We're finding out like all the plants that are popping up, and then lots of different projects are coming together. Our chicken coop is finally it's like 95% there. Um,
Amazing.
that the light that you picked up for us for Marketplace, I'll have to show you. I've got a picture. It's been hung.
Yes. Yes.
Our like entryway area has come together. Uh,
Amazing. Yeah,
and you
James told me that half the reason you got the light was for this cactus he
Yeah.
salvaged from the Chicago Botanic Garden,
Uh-huh.
which is
Yeah.
so cool.
It needed, yes, it was a dark area and now it's illuminated and like the starlight looks so cool.
I
Yes. So
can't wait
thank
to
you for
see it.
grabbing that for us. You made
Oh,
our
for sure.
our one Saturday afternoon. We that was a busy garden day too. So we've
Yeah.
been trying to get all of the beds in, and we need to actually plant the seeds now. All the infrastructure's there and it's like now we're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
the last frost is past, like time to get stuff in the ground.
I
So
know.
next step.
Oh, what are you planting?
So this is the year of the loofah. I'm just saying it. I'm just saying it now. We've tried the last 2 years and we
Yeah.
haven't quite gotten it. But I think not being in a container and being able to grow in the ground, I think is really gonna change things. We are always big on tomatoes, um, lots of flowers. I want like cut and come again flowers to just kind of have like
Yeah.
and then I've gotten very into specifically edible flowers and eating
Oh,
flowers. So we're going to have some edible flowers. And then one more thing is I've been thinking as we're planting at our house to think about how in the morning the sun rises in the front and sets in the back.
yeah.
And there's certain flowers that come in the evening, like there's something called a 4 o'clock, and there's like evening flowers that like open. So I want like those in the back.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
We made raised beds, and then we just got a bunch of James found a local spot that dropped off our compost. And
Yeah.
it was so funny, like literally it felt like Christmas morning. We were both
Yeah.
so giddy to have like this big pile of like compost
Rich.
manure
Yeah.
in our driveway, and like people were walking by and like
Like,
we're
have you
unique.
seen
Yeah,
it?
we're a unique couple. We geek out about the same things.
I know I've been imagining our backyard too, just
Yeah.
how we arrange our garden this next year. We won't get to anything this year, but yeah, I have big visions of what to do. I haven't been able to grow anything in the last couple years, just like too busy during the summer, so
Yeah.
it'll be nice to get back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like pick a fresh tomato.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Mm-hmm.
best.
Mm-hmm.
I we're sort of like nearing the end of our project, I think. I
Yeah.
mean, the hope is in the next few weeks they finish it up.
Amazing.
Yeah, I wish I could see someone who's like an expert at this, like an interior designer who is, focuses on like reclaimed materials and stuff because I would just love to know their process. We're in the spot now where like all these finishing things come up last second and there's like, oh, we need grates for the vents, like
Mhm.
the ductwork, like those grates are just kind of the standard Home Depot grates. And I'm like, oh, I should have thought about that, but I
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
And then now I'm retroactively like, oh, could I figure out where to find those? But now they're a very specific size.
Yeah.
Whereas before, if I had them, I could say, here, make this one this size or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like doors. We're trying to find reclaimed doors for specific areas and they have to be of specific size. And
Yeah.
if I had known that was going to be needed, which I should have known, like there's a doorway here.
It's so hard. Like to your point, it's so interesting to think about finishing touches, and that's information and like knowledge you can pass forward.
Yeah.
People do, and I do think too. it takes time, and I feel like we've talked about this as a theme before of like it's always a constant iteration, and you've done so
We,
much with me.
yeah, we do what we can.
Yeah.
I'd be really curious just how does someone next time, I guess, like if I
Hmm.
were to do this again, hopefully I don't for a
Yeah.
very long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, how do you sort of plan that stuff in advance? It because I was sort of asking my contractor, and he's
Hmm.
not in this world.
Sure. Yeah.
He's going along with the plan, but he is not thinking
Hmm.
ahead in this
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he would actually prefer if I just went and bought stuff on Amazon.
Makes it easier.
So I'll ask him like, oh, okay, so when do we start thinking about flooring here? And he's like, oh, that's later.
Hmm.
And then we get to later, and I'm like, I really should have been thinking about that earlier because now it feels a lot harder to sort of uh, be able to find that stuff secondhand
Yeah.
because it's really timing when it
Yeah.
comes to buying that stuff.
Yeah.
And so, like paint, I was trying very hard to source recycled paint.
Hmm.
And there's a place called Earth Paint here in Chicago, and they use recycled Benjamin Moore paint. So you can get Benjamin Moore colors from them at a discount. And they had just moved to a new location. So they weren't, their hours were very limited. It was
Yeah.
like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 10 to 1 or something.
Okay.
And I don't have a car. And
Hmm.
so I like had to kind of coordinate timing exactly with um, having access to transportation.
Yeah.
And at a time when like we had our colors ready. And
Mm.
so there was like a very short period of time, a very short window. And I drove all the way there and I was like 10 minutes after they closed.
Oh no.
No. So sorry, Francisco. Like he just had to go buy paint. And I was like, I really tried. I very
Yeah.
much was like
Yeah.
making the effort. We did buy paint from Restore. So it was like
Okay.
Restore has their recycled paint. They
Hmm.
have a very limited number of colors. So you kind of have to just pick what they have. And in the basement, I was like, a light gray is fine.
Yeah.
It'll do. The rest of our house is full of color, so like basement can sort of be a palette cleanser.
Yeah. Yeah. Fun.
I was like, oh golly, this is yeah. I definitely, if I'd started thinking of paint much sooner, I would have given myself a better chance.
Yeah.
But there's only so many things you can check off.
Since there isn't like a contractor that specializes in reuse, if they're like it's too soon, then like that's the right time.
That's the time to do
But yeah,
it.
it's
Yeah,
like, oh no, we're not there yet. And it's like, oh, but in like reuse timeline, it is. It's the time.
it definitely is. This requires so much faith in the
Hmm.
process. Like
Yeah.
faith in that it's all going to come together and faith that when I need a thing I'm going to be able to find it in the places that I have available to me, and then once I find it that it'll actually work and we can actually have all the right components to install it. I mean, that's been another piece of it too, is just finding a reused toilet and then realizing like, oh, because we're not in construction, we didn't realize that there were parts missing
Yeah.
from this toilet that you need to actually attach it to the floor.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, well, we went online and found those parts and it turned out fine. But there's been a lot of those moments where we
Hmm.
bought wallpaper on Facebook Marketplace and it's like really cool wallpaper.
Hmm.
Jeff did the calculations on it, and then we had our wallpaper guy come in and he was like, yeah, you're like a half a roll short. And we're like, oh no. And this is like expensive wallpaper. Buying a full roll,
Yeah.
full price. We were like, oh, that's not gonna work. So we got creative. I mean, my contractor's like, Katie, you always need to buy 10% more. And I was like, yeah, that's probably not going to happen. So, but then we come up with creative solutions and it totally works out. It'll be fine.
What
But
did
that's
you
the
do
process.
with the wallpaper? Like,
What
did you do like a part of wood on the wall, or how did you?
we're, yeah, we're wallpapering 3 walls and then the fourth wall will just be paint. And it's the shortest wall. So it's kind of like there's very little of it.
Yeah,
It'll be fine.
I love that.
But I'm
I
sure someone walking in will be like, why is it like this? And why is that like that? And it's like, well, you do what you can with what you have.
It might have felt like too much with four walls, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So well, all of it is a little bit of just like justifying it to yourself,
Yeah.
convincing yourself like it's going to have to be okay because we have no other choice. and
Yeah.
and then we're planning on living in this house for 50 years. So, no one else has to live with it, just we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, have you had any moments of like um
Hmm.
faith, like needing faith and that the process is going to be all work out, and how do you get through that?
It's so funny. I feel like we've talked about the red sink.
I think we have, but I'm not sure we actually recorded it.
Okay. So I feel like that is truly a good moment of faith where my husband James sees opportunities sometimes where I like he's more visionary than I am, which I feel like you in your with your husband, you have more of the vision. You can see more of how things will come together when they are half baked. And I think
Yeah.
with reuse, and to your point of like you work with what you have, we had a red sink. And the minute I saw it, I was like, I don't like that red sink. It's so bright. I was thinking of a prairie palette, like subtle colors,
Yeah.
soothing. And my husband was just like, oh, I really like the red sink. I think it's really unique. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're gonna make it work. I feel like we're gonna make it work. And so I was skeptical. I will call myself out. But I also feel like this has totally reframed anything that I'm like a little bit like, I don't know about. Because the way that it came together, it was a couple different paint colors, and we definitely changed kind of what we're thinking for the kitchen. But now that red sink is like one of my favorite pieces of the house.
Oh
And
my
I
God.
totally flipped of being like, get that out of here, to being like, wow, he saved the red sink. And in doing so, I think it's really interesting to like really lean into like these pieces that are like different.
Yeah.
That like I was just like a stainless steel sink would have been like soothing, you know?
Yeah.
But, like I also feel it adds like a very fun character to things. I've thought about this in reuse with like not being so prescriptive on what it is versus why you need it. Because I think
Yeah.
the more open you are, and I do think that that is like having faith that the right solution will present itself. I also think it's like giving grace that it will come together. It's easy to be like, we're so excited to fix up a house. And then you start doing things. And the more that gets fixed, the more you're like, oh, well then that actually too. And then that.
Yeah.
And it can very quickly escalate and feel so overwhelming.
Yes.
And there are days where I'm not this like, yay, that's so fun. There are days where I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, really? Like, now
True.
this? I also think that that's part of the fun. And when that happens, just be like, okay, like, what is this trying to show me?
Yeah.
What creative solution? Because I do think it's also so fun when you're able to find that creative solution and it is an unlock kind of in your brain that then makes it's like a muscle that you grow. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it is absolutely sort of a it's a process of developing that patience and then the
Mm-hmm.
skills of finding things, but the patience and the faith that if you're kind of out there searching and putting in that work,
Mm-hmm.
then you will find it. It will come.
Yeah.
I mean, so far, for the most part, when we've said, okay, we're going to find this secondhand,
Mm-hmm.
we have found it secondhand. I mean, and we have to do the work. It's like there
Yeah.
is a lot of searching and, going around to different places to see if it's here, there, or elsewhere. I mean, I grew up in the Catholic Church
Mm-hmm.
talking about faith every day. It never really connected with me because it always kind of felt like this can't be real. Like this isn't a real story. That was story of Jesus. Like this can't
Yeah.
be for real. And
Yeah.
so there's always a bit of just like fairy tale to those
Mm-hmm.
stories, but the idea of like just trusting something because you can't explain it, like
Mm-hmm.
there's no explanation of why people thought and did what they did, and so then you kind of just have to trust that there's an element of truth in there, whatever.
Yeah.
So, it has more recently just felt a lot like that, where I can explain kind of like the coincidences of life and sort of these day-to-day things. It feels a little silly where you're like, oh, I just happened to find this door that was the exact right size that I was looking for in this place that I was at. I put myself here, so there's a little bit of, I can give myself credit. But at the
Mhm.
same time, I don't know, there's got to be some higher power out there sort of leading people to the right places and to the right people to be able to finish whatever you're working on. I mean, it doesn't have to be a project like this, but
Yeah.
even just on a bigger scale, the idea that we're all trying to save the planet, and these little moments of just doing something the right way, or doing something in a way that's maybe less convenient but more beneficial for the greater good,
Yeah.
that's going to make a difference, and that all those things will come together, and there's a higher, purpose to it all.
Yeah.
That idea of faith has just been more prominent in my life lately, just kind of like hoping that, okay, as people kind of come together and try and make the world a better place, that it's going to mean something and reason for it.
Yeah. The meaningful piece of it really is present for me because I also think that it's in the little imperfections that there are around the house. When I see it, it like makes me smile and I feel it's very centering in the way that, to your point of, it feels more meaningful. Everything could be very easy and convenient, and it could be I could go to the store and get the uniform thing or like order
Yeah.
it online.
Yeah.
The more reuse you do, the more character and stories within your home. And you're making me think we got another light from literally down the street. I wouldn't have ever. I was like, we need a light fixture for our dining room.
Yeah.
And I just looked up and I saw it was in St. Charles and I saw it was so close and it wasn't my favorite thing ever. I wouldn't have ever looked for this or thought that this is what I wanted for my dining room light. But like
Yeah.
also there's something so fun that this light has been in this neighborhood for she said it was her grandma's house that she inherited. I went there and she's like, I don't think it works. And I'm like, whatever, we'll figure this out. And like there's definitely lots of piles of we'll figure this out.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's also okay. It will come together. And I feel like our conversations, especially both being in this at a similar time, like at the same time when we're like working through things, I think it's so helpful to like talk and have community around it because
Yes.
there are the days where you're like, wow, there's a lot of piles of we'll figure this out.
One day,
Yeah.
one day this will all make sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is sort of a
Yeah.
tangential story. We were putting our house on the market, and so we were getting it like all put together and trying to like show ready.
Yeah.
And for me, show ready feels very different from probably what other people would
Yeah.
expect. And, we were trying to get rid of our stuff so that we could furnish our new place with pieces that would fit better.
Mm-hmm.
So we got rid of our dining set and
Mm-hmm.
then bought a dining room table, but no chairs.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we have like just this empty dining room table in our house right now. And so then we're like, well, okay, for photos, what do we do? And then in the alley, there were these 3 dining room chairs.
Okay.
They looked perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
You sit on them and you realize why they gave them up. They're just so poorly made
Yeah.
and they're wobbly, but they look fine.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, we're going to take these 3 dining room chairs from the alley. Jeff's
Yeah.
like rolling his eyes. He's like, for real? I'm like, well, we need something for these photos,
Yeah.
but we only have 3. So I was like, okay, is 3 better than none? I don't know. But yeah, the photographer came in to take photos for the listing, and
Uh-huh.
he's like, so do you have the 4th chair? And I was like, oh, funny story.
There's
No.
yeah.
So he was like, well, let's just do 2 chairs and then we'll leave the 3rd one out. And I was like, great. So we had like in the photos, there's like the 2-person dining room.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? If someone cares that much about
Mm-hmm.
4 chairs at a dining room table, maybe they're not really supposed to have our house.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like perfect timing. Someone else was releasing these into the universe, and I was needed those exact things for a very specific purpose. But yeah, sort of the faith that, well, it'll come to us
Yeah.
when we need it, at the moment we need it, and it usually does.
I love that it's like your contractor and this photographer are like, who is this girl? Like, what? I also feel like then it passes itself forward where then they're going to be like, well, it's a creative challenge, an opportunity. What are we going to do here?
It does rub off on people eventually when you talk about it enough, and
Yeah,
it's fun. It's fun to kind of share in those silly moments.
it is. Find the connections like across interests and passions and styles and all the things.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Laura. Nice chatting with you again.
Yes. Thank you, Katie.
Until the next time.
It's always good to chat and talk through all these
100%.
things. Yes.
Yeah. It's been a little while, so it's nice to see you.
Likewise.
All right. Talk to you later.